What's good, guys? Welcome back to the Profit Maximalist Show. I have a wild episode for you today, looking at Bitcoin and what could happen in the coming weeks. It also might explain the breakout we're having this morning, and I think it's a really important topic that you need to understand. So there's a pattern that's been happening. You might have noticed this. If you pay really close attention, you did. Maybe you missed it. But Bitcoin has been doing really well to start the month price-wise. Price performance in the first couple weeks of each month, January, February, and March, has been strong. And towards the end of the month, especially the last week of the month, price has been choppy. It keeps dipping. No breakout will stick. It's like price is pinned down. And I couldn't really figure out why that was happening until I saw this. I get hundreds of comments every single day talking about why price did this. It's all related to this, or X caused Y. And it's really hard to decipher what's actually happening, what's noise. But some people that I consider really good sources of information did confirm that options were playing a role in suppressing the price. And after spending a couple hours clicking around, Googling, and trying to figure out what was actually happening, whether or not this is suppressing price, and whether it means this breakout that's happening right now is for real, I stumbled across a thread where an anonymous trader explained it perfectly. This is going to blow your mind. It's going to have you pretty excited for Bitcoin's outlook as well. And don't worry, if you don't trade options or you don't understand them, I'm going to make it very simple for you to understand. I'm going to give you my outlook on Bitcoin, why I'm still bullish, and this is going to be something you can use next month, the following month, really for the rest of the year. It's going to be a really helpful piece of information for investors, for holders, for traders, for everyone out there. Might help you turn a profit in the crypto market. So let's dive right into it. Enjoy, guys.
There's only one way out from here, and that's up.
All right, so before we get into the important stuff, this Bitcoin breakout, is it for real? Why has price been suppressed lately? We're going to talk about all of it, but first, please drop a like on the video if you guys are enjoying these market updates, and I have some really cool interviews on the way as well. Anthony Pompliano is on the show tomorrow, so subscribe. Don't want you guys to miss these. And I also have a really cool announcement. I just launched my own trading bot. If you're watching this, I imagine you're a trader or you're a Bitcoin investor. I just launched my very own trading bot, and there's a 30-day free trial. It runs on a platform called Stacked, and Stacked verifies all the trades with API, so you know that it's real trades. You can see the historical performance. And the first month it was on the platform, it was the best performing strategy of all 60 automated trading bots. So I was really excited when it launched that it did that well. And they're letting me give away a ton of free trials. It has outperformed holding Bitcoin. And I wanted to make you guys aware that free trial period is running. So go check it out on the link right down below. Bybit's even giving you a $100 to $500 bonus if you set up a new account to check out the trading bot. That link is right down below as well. I'm so excited for that project, especially if it keeps performing this well. It makes some Bitcoin. You guys get a really cool trading tool, and it's a free trial. So check that one out. All right, with that out of the way, it's time to dive in. The info that I stumbled across was fascinating. I found someone who was able to describe why price has been suppressed, why it's had such a hard time moving for the past couple of weeks, and why they thought it was about to take off. And this is shaping my outlook for the month and why I think this breakout is for real, why I'm continuing to be bullish on Bitcoin. It has to do with options. And don't worry, if you don't trade options and you think it's confusing, I'm going to make this very simple. And it still applies to you even if you don't trade options. If you're just a Bitcoin holder and you want to know what price is doing, but you don't trade options, this still matters. Even if you're a trader and you don't trade options, this still matters. And I'm going to explain why. So on Friday, March 26th, that's last Friday, there was a massive Bitcoin options expiration. Somewhere in the range of $6 billion of outstanding exposure of options were going to expire. And here's what the chart looks like now that those options have expired. The really strange part, and I don't think this is a coincidence at all, is the options that expired on Friday, right, at the end of the day Friday or March 26th, right, basically marks the bottom of Bitcoin's sell-off that we just went through for the last week or so in March, right? Bitcoin's been on a phenomenal trend. The uptrend is still up, right? We've basically just gone vertical for the past 3 or 4 months. But what's happened basically in the past couple weeks of each month, or the last week or so of each month, is we have a pretty nasty sell-off. Every single pump gets sold into. We have price pinned in between two levels. And I kind of couldn't figure out why this was happening until I saw the piece of info that I'm right about to share to you. But just want to give you guys a reminder, this pattern that we're seeing where we sell off for the last week of each month. It happened in March. It also happened in February where we have a sell-off, and then the beginning of March happens and we start pumping. Exact same thing happened in January as well. Right? We sell off into the end of January, then January 31st, and we resume our pump higher. And then I stumbled across this thread from a trader called Merp. You can find him on Twitter at Merpetual. He's linked right down below if you're listening to the show on iTunes and Spotify, but if you're watching on YouTube, I'm going to link this down below. And I saw a couple traders that I really respect tagging this thread and saying this is the best explanation. And he basically gave a thread explaining how the Bitcoin options market has affected price action for the last week of each month and how it also helps with our outlook going into April. This is where things get pretty exciting. So coming into the 26th, as I mentioned, there was a very large options expiration, meaning there's going to be times where there's a lot of options outstanding and sometimes where there's not that much options interest. On March 26th, it was rather big, right? A lot of options expiring, almost $6 billion. And where those options were expiring is especially important. So you see a lot of them were expiring, the puts were expiring basically in the 60K range. That was kind of the top of the range. And then you have the calls were basically expiring in between 50K to 54K is where most of them were expiring, right? That's the positioning of those options. And so I'm going to mark those on the chart just so you guys can kind of see visually what that looks like, right? A lot of the options expiring basically at the 60K level. So I'm going to put a nice line right here, maybe a box. This is kind of the top of that range that we're pinned in between, or that we were pinned in between. And then basically all the call options were expiring in the 48K to 50 range, right? So 53 down to about 48. And what you'll notice is for the last week of March that we just got through and now we're pumping, right? We've been pinned into this level. We attacked 61K one time while we were in price discovery. This is at the beginning of March, and price basically stopped there. Next time we move into 60K, rejected immediately, and we start selling off. And the way that Merp explained it was there's a lot of interest in those strikes that form near the outer bands, 60K, and also the lower bands around 50K. And it's no coincidence because as price reaches those levels, market makers and large traders dynamically hedge their positions. So as you get closer to expiration, they have a lot more interest in kind of defending that. It creates a dampening effect, and price gets pushed away from those levels with more strength as each day passes, right? As we get closer and closer to that expiration on the last Friday of the month, when there's a lot of options outstanding, there's a large incentive for traders that are trading those options to keep price in between there. But once that is over, right, we see a pop. And it happened in January, it happened in February, and right now, right, it's happening again in March. We have the options expiration last Friday of the month, right? And this is especially important when there's a lot of options outstanding, right? So you have the low made on March 25th, options expire basically in this little gap, and now price is able to resume its natural volatile state. It's able to resume its natural trend. And it would have been a really big warning sign if price was not able to break out after this 26th. But the fact that we have, and now we've gone up almost 10 to 12% just in the past 3 or 4 days, is a really good hint, right, that demand is still outweighing supply. Price still wants to go up. You obviously have this onslaught, this nonstop positive news cycle for Bitcoin. The Tether attestation just came out. Corporate buying is still happening. The Visa news yesterday, right? So the news is still helping. And what was probably pinning price or stopping it from rising had a lot to do with that very large options expiration. And it's played a role not just this month, but also in February, also in January. And he highlighted that perfectly. I mean, look back at January 29th. It was even more clear, right? You have large options expiration last day of the month, January 29th. Price is basically stuck at 31, 32K. Immediately after they expire, price pumps from 31K all the way up to 38K. Right? This one in January happened even quicker than this month. But we're seeing this take place every single month where there's a large options expiration at the end of the month. And so now where does that put us? Bitcoin right at 59K. We're up about 10 to 15% after the options expiration, after the market is done being pinned. Volatility has resumed, natural demand has resumed, and price is not being suppressed. We're about 3 to 4% away from all-time high, which is interesting because whenever Bitcoin gets to all-time high, we're in price discovery, things get exciting again. And who honestly knows where we go from there? Some people have 70K marks, some people have 80K, 100K. But I think the biggest takeaway from this is the natural trend is still up. We have not broken market structure of higher highs and higher lows. And this is also something that you need to keep in mind for in April. It's not always going to play a large role. If there's not a lot of options exposure outstanding in April, then there maybe isn't as big of an incentive to pin the market like we saw in March and February and January. So it's sometimes going to play a large role like it just did. Sometimes it might be negligible and it might not even make that much of an impact. But I do think if you're an investor, if you're a trader, this is something you should be watching going forward, regardless of whether or not you trade options. Seems like a really complex concept, but in just 10 minutes, we've covered the basics of how the market can get pinned based on large option exposure and people defending that upper range of that market and the lower range of the strike prices that are expiring. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. My Bitcoin outlook remains very bullish. I haven't seen anything change in terms of a news cycle, in terms of the way the market is reacting to the news. The way that I've been trading Bitcoin lately is just to be following what my trading bot is doing. And the bot has been long since about $52,220 last week. Once again, all these trades are verifiable. Hit the link right down below if you guys do want to check it out. Really excited for that project. That's what I'm using to trade Bitcoin. And right now you get a free trial to check it out for yourself. That's all I got. On tomorrow's show, I'm going to be talking about what I'm looking at in the altcoin market in April. There's one group of alts that's really separating from the pack, especially in the past week, and are outperforming another set of alts where I think most people are focused. And I think that that trend starts to accelerate in a big way. Right? There's the blue chip DeFi, and then there's a second group of DeFi that's really kicking into gear, is trending higher, is outperforming in the past week, and I think that lasts all the way through April. So I'm going to be talking about those tomorrow on the show. Also, Anthony Pompliano is coming on the show tomorrow to talk about a Bitcoin investment. Got a lot of good episodes in the way. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you guys enjoy these market updates. I hope you guys have a good rest of your week. Bitcoin cruising up, altcoins doing all right, and we have a lot more shows on the way. I'll see you guys soon. Take care.